This is a session about how to live stream your event. And we have, well, I'll let Zach introduce himself, but we have two panelists here and then a virtual panelist as well. So Zach, do you want to kick off and just introduce yourself to people? Let them know kind of who you are, what you do, and why you're excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Zach Marion, for those who I have not met or have seen out there. I've been running as an athlete in the trail ultra running scene for the last 15 plus years. I fell in love with this community. My background in education is a doctorate in physical therapy and an undergraduate in business administration and marketing. So very non-traditional. But where my life has taken me over the last about 3 years is I've slowly been slipping into this live streaming opportunity for races, because I think that what we do in the races that we have, that especially you guys as race directors, what you produce and the amount of emotion that you're able to get your athletes and runners to go through is really they're beautiful stories. They're amazing to tell. And that's how I fell in love with the trail running community. And I saw the value in live streaming back in 2018, when I helped Dylan Bowman put together a very, 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 very rudimentary, basic broadcasting or live streaming of gorge waterfalls. And then that kind of parlayed into some opportunities where I'm at currently with Aravaipa, technically Mountain Outpost, which is a subsidiary of Aravaipa. But I started working with Jamil a lot on his own races. And then I approached Jamil and I said, this needs to be done all across the country at all of these races. There are so many amazing stories to tell that we're not doing ourselves a great service in. That's like the aspect of trail running that is missing. We're not telling stories of what's happening out on the course. Long story short, I've been with Aravaipa for the last year as the director of live stream media. And we took our little portfolio of, I think, 5 or 6 races last year, and we are over 24 plus races for this year. So we've really tried to grow as much as we can in the space of not just hosting Aravaipa races. Those are great. Those are easy to do because they're local. They're also far less expensive for us. But there's too many amazing stories to tell out there. And we were blessed with the opportunity to produce the Western States race this year, Hard Rock 100, Run Rabbit Run, the Rut, Mammoth Trail Fest, Y-East Trail Fest, Gorge Waterfalls, Big Alta. We've got a list, and I am here today coming to you from Fountain Hills, Arizona, as we prepare for Javelina 100 this weekend. So that is me.
Wow. Okay, Zach, impressive introduction. Thank you. Okay, guys, follow that.
Yeah, I got to follow that. Full disclosure, Zach and I work together. We have for the last couple of years, so I think that may color some of my comments. Yeah, my name is Dale Garland. I help organize a little running race down in Southwest Colorado.
Yeah. I'm Tom Luke from 603 Endurance. I'm here doing the live stream more for mom and pop stores. These guys are huge. And I'm more of an advocate for, we don't have the backing to do what they do just yet. But it is possible. And like Zach said, our stories still need to be told. So yeah, hopefully through this discussion, I can give you guys some background, some tips, some pointers, show you where to go, how to start. At lunch, Jay Kelly brought up a good line saying, you know, you need to crawl before you walk, before you run. With the platforms that I think we're going to talk about, you guys are going to probably need to play with them a little bit on the off season, get kind of dial stuff in, and then it will sort of answer some of the sponsorship questions you guys had earlier that maybe they weren't answered correctly. There is opportunity for the nonprofit. There are tourism departments, because now we have a quantifiable number we can look at. Hey, you only had 100 people at your races, but you had 15,000 viewers. And when you walk into that bank, or you walk into that hospital, or you talk to the tourism department, you have something to give them, to show them that you're worth their investment.
Totally agree, Tom. Totally agree. Okay, very true. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll start with an easy question, which Zach touched on already to some extent. Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yep.
Okay. That's helpful. What are the benefits of live streaming your events? Yeah. Actually, Tom, do you want to start on that?
Yeah,
because you're hot on the subject.
Yeah. I think there's so many benefits. I don't even know where to start on this. We can start with you put on a live stream. You're now able to do branding for sponsors. In these platforms, you can set up banners with their ads. And that rolls into, now you're giving this to the runner. The runner sharing this with their coworkers, their parents. They're now advertising for you for free. This is just, it just keeps building and snowballing. So I think the snowballing effect of what this live stream, it's not going to be perfect for us, the small ones. So don't focus that it's not the big boys. Like, just focus on what you control. And I think that the benefits, you're going to notice them right away of how exponentially your race will grow.
I hate coming after you because I just checked off everything that I had to say. I think the other thing, bringing in your family and friends, sharing the experience, giving people a visual to what was just kind of a text kind of environment, of being able to actually show them where they're running, how they're doing, that kind of thing. I also think that as we kind of look at it through the sustainability lens, that this gives people a chance to virtually travel to places that they may not otherwise go. So I think that's another advantage. I think the partnership thing is huge because it is quantifiable, and you can use those numbers to solicit partnership. But you get to work with Zach. That's a good thing I do. Zach,
it can be fun.
Yeah.
How
about
yeah.
you?
So I'll add a little bit to this. My experience in having produced a number of these by now and been a part of them for years is that first and foremost, I'm a storyteller. I want to tell the stories on the course, and I think that is what's engaging to the viewers at the end of the day. People want to see the story, whether it's the elite story up front or whether it's chasing the golden hour at the very end, the ones that we can all relate to that are coming in those final hours, the most impressive stories of the weekend. Everybody has a story to tell, and it's your job as the director to kind of bring that out. But how you benefit as a race to have a live stream there is, as Tom said, you are increasing the eyeballs on your race and generally in the sport. And if you can increase the eyeballs on your race, that makes your race more valuable to all of your partnerships. It's a very straightforward, that's the very business answer, is it increases the value. Now, it also increases the value for the runner as well, because I personally know that my mom and my dad will never come to any of my races, not because they don't want to support me and they don't love me, blah, blah, blah. It's because they just physically can't get to a lot of the places that these races are at, nor do they have the time. So this is an opportunity for you to take this really special moment for the runner, that finish line, even if that's all it is just a static camera on the finish line, and you get to capture those really beautiful, poignant moments at the finish line. That is a summation of their story that they get to share with friends and family that will not be able to be at that race. Also, it is marketing and advertising for your race. You're going to be able to do, if you do it in the right way, you're not only able to capture the scenery of the race or the competition of your race, but just kind of the overall tone and vibe and excitement. If you create a really fun finish line, and again, if that's really the only live streaming that you get the opportunity to put on for the first year or two, then people are going to be like, hey, what is this race? Maybe I want to go out and do that. I've been to a number of great grassroots races that are small local races. And if you're not there and you don't experience the vibes of that place, you'd never know how special it is, or how special. I had the opportunity to do Wai's Trail Fest this year. great race over by Mount Hood, and something that it's a Golden Trail ticket race, but it's still so incredibly small and local. But having been there, I having heard of it, I would have never been able to piece together how special this race is. But having gone there and having seen it, now I can have an appreciation for how special this race is. And you guys do amazing work at curating these runner experiences. The more eyeballs you can get that in front of, the more that you can, the stories you can tell, the more your race is going to grow, the more the sport is going to grow, which means even more you rising tides lift all ships. So if we can grow the sport, we can grow every individual race as well.
Yeah, good comment. We all rise together, Zach, don't we? That's the beauty of that. Yeah, we've been touching on that already. So next question, which kind of fits in, segues in nicely. Is there a right time in a race's growth for adding live stream? Or maybe at what point is there, and Zach, you might know more about this, having dealt with many races, but Tom, I guess you can also talk to, at what point did you come to live stream? They've been live streaming for 2 years, so what was it that prompted you to so there, we'll start with you.
In thinking about this question, I think you have to be ready to embrace the technology and have kind of the buy-in from people who are important to your event, whether it's the race committee or the sponsors or whatever. But with that also being said, and this technology and everything is evolving very quickly and very, almost weekly, monthly, yearly. And so waiting till it's perfect and waiting till you really feel like you are just, everything's going to fall according to schedule and everything like that, you may or may not ever get to it. So it's kind of like, you want to be ready, you want to have kind of the groundwork laid, but not to be afraid to wait to get it to be perfect the first time.
Yeah, I mean, the time is now. The live stream is going to be the future of where this is going. I don't think there's anybody that's going to deny that. It's just, if you don't start dabbling in it now, it's just going to get more and more away from you. So I think it may be a scary beast at first. It doesn't have to be, but I understand when I first started doing it 2 years ago, I wasn't super comfortable. I wanted it to look perfect. I wanted it to be, absolute. And I think you just start playing and get more comfortable, just like any sort of technology. So I think tomorrow, tomorrow. You have to jump on it now.
And I'll just add something to what Zach said. I think if all you can do is even just capture the finish line, the start and the finish line, that is huge. And that gives you so much of something that you can, your participants and sponsors, whoever you want to try to impress, that would be a great place to start.
Cool. Zach, before we ask you this question, I was just thinking that the start and finish line. So I mean, those are relatively easy to set up. And then with some of the using StreamYard, for example, then you have maybe video that you have already taken of maybe runners on the course, just pre-recorded, and you have that set so you can have a fill in between the start and finish, and with some captive video, and create a really good experience that shows more than the start and finish line. But Zach, yeah, have you got any thoughts on that in terms of when is there a good time for a race to consider moving into live stream and adding into the
Immediately. There's so many ways to do it that don't have to be a big giant blown out production that's perfect and amazing. And also, hint, ours are not perfect. We try our best, but we're dealing with a lot of elements out there that are very uncontrollable. So this is a wild west space. We are really trying to just tackle something that's never been done before. And there's a reason that large production companies don't want to come out to these things and do them, because they are so unpredictable and very difficult to pull off. But that being said, that's a full-blown production. To Terry's point, to Tom's point, you can very easily do a start line, a finish line, one or two places along the course that just kind of capture runners running through. You can do these as simple as possible, and the time is now to get it going. If you're a small race who's just starting and you're trying to grow, this gets eyeballs on your race. This is marketing at a very, very low lift, a very, very low dollar amount that you can add a layer of value to your race. Now, if you're also a larger race, we've approached some big races like Leadville and other races like that, and they're just like, first year they were like, no, we're not really interested, we're already Leadville, what are we trying to prove? And lo and behold, we had an email from them that said, wow, we really realized that in order to be competitive as one of the top races in the country, we have to have this layer of value. Like, if Hard Rock is doing it and Western States is doing it, then we need to be doing it too. So it is available and useful for every single size of race out there, for anybody who's getting into the space. It just, you got to find the right product that matches where you're at. And that can always grow year after year, but definitely the time is now to start.
Cool. Anybody interested so far? They're all like, okay, how do we get going? All right, so I'm going to add a question to here that we actually didn't have on the list. So I'm just thinking, for any race director in the room, it's like, okay, this sounds really like a good thing to do, but how much is it going to cost? So yeah, in terms of starting, for a mom-and-pop race, then Tom, you've started this, on your own. Then, do you mind sharing, kind of what you invested to get it going?
Yeah. So I would say, if you wanted to do a start line, start finish, a few other things, you're probably looking at about $1,000. It's not super expensive. The platform itself, StreamYard, I think it's $500 a year. And that basically gives you everything you need. It's not entirely designed for what we're doing, but we've managed to make it work really, really well. You're allowed to have 10 cameras. Every camera is able to share a screen. You don't need to have your announcers. If you want to have people talking about who's running the race, they don't need to be in your town. So you can hire Zach if you want to. We use the girls from SubHub in, I'm pretty sure we're having to anymore, Utah, Colorado. So yeah, I mean, you can do this fairly cheap. It's not a terrible thing to afford.
And then maybe what kind of cameras?
I mean, you can use cheap cameras off of Amazon. We have Google laptops with just a USB. Then when we use our mobiles, it's basically just the volunteers' phones. So they're following around on course up and down the mountain. We buy them gimbals just for a little more stability, but nothing that you need to do. This is all super inexpensive stuff that it's nothing that's going to break the bank. And once you buy it, it's there for good. It's not something that's going to be a recurring expense year after year. So it's going to be the initial investment, and then I think it's pretty low maintenance besides the monthly or the yearly fee for StreamYard.
Yeah, Zach. So obviously you've been working with a lot of races. Mentioned some big names, but are you in a position to not necessarily do a full-blown support everything thrown in, but are you able to maybe help a small race in terms of maybe some guidance and kind of low-level support or something like that? Do you have a pricing menu or something like that?
Yeah, so I mean, we've worked with races of all different shapes and sizes, and we've had budgets that have crested $100,000. We've had budgets that are under $5,000. It just depends on what the race needs and what they want. Realistically, the way I do it is I love to communicate with the race directors and say, first off, what are your needs? And then what is your capacity? And then we find something that works there. Even if it's just me saying, hey, let's just consult and help you figure out how to use the platforms. Like, you can use free streaming platforms like OBS. And then it's just a matter of learning how to set up a YouTube, get the stream key to talk to YouTube, and then set up, your OBS system to stream the finish line. And there's a lot of little details you can add to it to make it feel really professional for extremely, like very low lift, very low cost. It's just, you need to know how to do it. And most of us didn't grow up in an era, Dale, I'm looking at you, didn't grow up in the era of everything being live streamed and on social media. And I mean, I'm turning 39 next week. This is definitely not my wheelhouse. But it's something that I've learned and I've grown into, and I'm like, oh, I see. Like, I hire out 21-year-olds who run circles around me when it comes to this stuff. So it's really, if you want to get this going, you can do this for under $1,000. You use an open stream software like OBS. You essentially connect a couple cameras to a laptop, and that laptop talks to YouTube via that OBS stream key. And so it's just a matter of putting it together, which is something that we can easily sit down, and I can draw out schematics for you to show you exactly how to do it. We can go over the software. What I want to see, rather than being the person who says, I want to stream every race, this is my business, I want to grow it, as big as I can. I want to see the sport grow. That's all I care about. I am so lucky that I work with someone like Jamil Corey, who legitimately has told me that everything he has financially and in the business and through Aravaipa is a gift. He treats it as though it is a gift that the running community has given to him. And our goal at Mountain Outpost, believe it or not, is not to make money. If we break even at the end of the year, we are happy. We are stoked on that, because all we want to do is grow the sport, because we recognize that growing the sport is the most important thing. And if we continue doing that and laying down the foundation, then we know that there's going to be interest from Hoka, from Ultra, from North Face, from all these other brands, that we're getting some very awesome opportunities with brands outside of the small little world of trail running that want to be a part of these live streams. And so if we can continue to grow this, then we can pave the way for other companies and other races and other brands to either do their own live stream or to come work with us. We're happy either way. We just want to see the sport grow. So yes, you can do it for very, very inexpensive. A couple 4K, in fact, even 1080p, because you can't really stream in 4K right now. A couple cameras on Amazon, a laptop. You don't need a whole lot to do it. You really don't.
Very cool. Thank you, Zach. Yeah, obviously, I'm really happy to hear that you can be a resource for people to reach out to you, even if they don't end up choosing you in terms of providing the live stream site. So yeah, thank you for that. So just to let you guys know, during this conference, we live streamed 2 sessions. So one session yesterday and one session today so far, and then we'll do one tomorrow. So just using the MacBook here, and then StreamYard. And StreamYard, I'm paying $49 a month for that privilege. And then I didn't do it for these because I wanted to keep it private, but then we could have linked those to YouTube and then make them public. So it doesn't, that's just obviously one camera. But as Tom said, you can add more cameras, but it doesn't need to be, it's not that difficult to kind of set it up and get the system going. Okay, so, and this is, Zach, you mentioned about Jamil. So we did one of our master classes this year, and we had Corinne on the webinar, and I think I was live StreamYard at that time as well. But she mentioned that we are so fortunate that we live in the age of Jamil, and I thought that was a really good comment because really he's been, to a large extent, he has been responsible for driving. And now with you on board, Zach, as well, then it's wonderful that we have somebody like Jamil in our community who's pushing this forwards. Okay, so a discussion then keep going through. A discussion on whether audio quality should be the main focus and video imagery secondary. So, that was mentioned in the masterclass webinar, and I'm interested to hear your guys' takes on this, but also you as well, Zach. So David, do you want to pitch in first?
I think for the chair that I sit in, the video quality is more important. Just because of, you are telling, as Zach has said, you're telling stories. And I think it depends on your environment, it depends on what you're trying to do. If it's more about, you're trying to tell the personal stories of runners, and maybe audio quality is important. But for me, in my event, the video kind of speaks for itself. So I think it kind of depends on what it is that your priorities. Yeah.
I'm going to go with it has to be a 50-50. I think just from where I sit, the video is not going to be perfect sometimes, and there may be some downtime where you need the audio to be the filler. So whether they need to be talking about something else, they may have to improvise when the Wi-Fi or the cell service goes away for a minute. The audio has to be pretty solid. When we do a race, we'll give the announcers all the backstories, all the elite information, what races they've done. We also have live results scrolling on one screen while the video is going, so they have something to talk about with that. Filler is pretty important in this infancy that we're at with live streaming because it's not perfect. So I think that I would have to say that it's a pretty solid backup when your video doesn't go as smooth as you want it to.
Okay, cool. Zach, so same question for you. Yeah, I mean, is video or audio? How do you see the importance on those?
I'm going to have to say we're visual creatures. We love to see something versus hear something. Now, with that being said, if you're just at a static shot of the finish line, that alone with a little bit of background music is great. It's plenty enough to get your race started on streaming. But if you want to add a layer of quality that really goes in depth, good audio, or not even good audio, but good commentators really help elevate your broadcast to the next level. I think that's what takes it from just kind of your very first basic level and then upgrades it to a full-blown production is when you start adding commentary. And especially if you can get some locals that love the race, that know the history of it, that have that gift of gab, there's nothing more magical than someone being able to talk about the sport they love for a few hours and give you some great background and inside information. That's what visual is, what brings someone to it. Audio is what keeps someone watching.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Zach. Okay, we want to talk a little bit now about what platforms that people use. So in terms of processing, then I mean, Dale, for you, then I guess because Zach had Mountain Outpost handled it, they dealt with that side. But Tom, what do you do in terms of processing? What platform do you
Yeah, I mean, I use StreamYard. It's been the best for us. It has. So what you can do is you can add your own brand. So say you have 9 races, you can go in and preview everything. So say one race's color scheme is red, white, and black. The next one's orange. The next one's blue. You can already predetermine all of the logos, the color schemes. You can upload intro and exit videos. You can do all of that stuff to give it that production feel that takes 5 minutes to do. It's so easy, and then every year you never have to do it again. It's all pre-set up. So StreamYard has been the best that we've found so far. There are some features that they don't have yet. Integrating a clock would be super nice for us. So we've been working with them to get a running clock. When the start goes, we sort of have it when we have live results on the side, but it would be nice to have a clock with a logo. That's the biggest thing we're missing. But the rest of it, I mean, just to give it the production level of having, banners with your sponsors rolling on the bottom. If you want to say you do get sponsored by a hospital and the CFO or CEO wants to have their 2-second message, it's canned. You know, it's already there. If there's a downtime, boom, play. It's all click and drag. You don't have to be a director of a movie to figure it out. It's pretty easy. So StreamYard is our number one.
Okay, Zach, I don't know if you stick with one platform in terms of processing, but or maybe it depends on the scale of the event. But yeah, do you have any comments on that in terms of your preference for platform?
Yeah, so we started off with OBS, which is a free online streaming platform that you can put all the layers of the scene you want in, and that's like technical jargon of basically saying like whatever you want the screen to look like, you can do that through OBS, and all the video streams come into that with that overlay on it, and then it gets sent over to YouTube. So it'll always have that overlay. And to build out those overlays, we've used Singular Live, which is very, very simple to use. You can do just a plain bar across the bottom that's cut into 3 pieces so that you can add whatever type text you want. You can put a running clock up here in the corner. In this corner, you can put the runner or the race logo. If it's presented by Hoka, you add that to it. So we have a little bit more of an in-depth process, just being able to use Singular Live. Like OBS is free, Singular Live, they do have a free version of it that's very, very adequate for anyone to use. And you just go in and put your logos in there, and you can put a timer on it. It's pretty simple to pick up and to learn. You just need to spend an hour or 2 working with it. Right now, we're currently working with Wirecast. We've graduated from OBS to Wirecast just based on the volume that we do. We wanted something that was a little bit more reliable, a little bit has a few more bells and whistles to it. And for our sake, because we add so many layers to our scenes, we wanted something that can handle that load and do like, we have automatic updates when runners come through the finish line, it'll pop up their little bio card and give us the information. We've added a lot of layers to it over the years. Just anything fun we can think is cool to add, we've done it and we've played with it and tinkered with it. So we have upgraded to Wirecast. But again, if you're looking to do this on your own, Tom has a great suggestion. OBS and combining that with Singular Live is another great option that you can do that is free. It just takes a little bit of time to get it. And there, again, lean on your communities. You have so many people in your community that can help you with this, that would be happy to volunteer an hour or 2 of their time to help put this stuff together. I mean, you guys, race directors, you all know how amazing your volunteers are and how willing people are to help out. Same in the live stream team. I guarantee you have someone in your community that knows how to put this together and can help you with it.
Thank you, Zach. Now, in terms of outputs, so you mentioned YouTube already, so that seems to be the preferred output platform. But I just wanted to kind of check on if that's still the case, and I guess really also why YouTube. I guess some people might think of other opportunities, but so Tom, do you use YouTube?
Yeah, but I'd like to hear Zach's answer. Just more so, there's so many, there's 3 or 4. So if you split your viewing between YouTube, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, whatever you have, is it hard to get that number? Are people watching on multiple things, or are they switching? So if you have it at just one spot, and you go to your sponsor, you're looking for some numbers, it's nicer to have the clean version of it versus it's everywhere and you're trying to, add it all up and figure out if there's any duplicates. I may be wrong on that, but I'd like to hear Zach's answer.
Yeah, go Zach.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think that that YouTube is the way to go. It's free, it's easy. It casts the widest net. It's where everybody feels comfortable going to YouTube and quote unquote YouTubing something, because that's the preferred platform, right? So I think it's easy, it's simple, it casts the widest net. You get great analytics. So for the marketing minded afterwards, you get to go approach all your partnerships and say, this is how many people watched the stream. This is for how long they were on the stream. And it kind of lets you decide what parts are important. We're currently looking in the space of, if we have a 100-miler that goes overnight, is it important to include overnight commentary and have that expense when you're having 10 people watch your live stream? Is it worth it to have people hired on for that long overnight? What are some solutions? What do people want to see? You get a lot of analytics from YouTube. If you go bury it on your own website or you bury it somewhere else, again, you're just not getting the information that you really want out of it. You can link the YouTube link wherever you want and people can go to it, and it's simple. YouTube is the preferred platform. If you put it behind a paywall, if you do anything like that, people are not ready to spend $5 to $10 to watch a race right now.
Okay, that's an interesting point, which was also on my mind, Zach, so thank you for answering that. And YouTube also seems to be a very reliable platform. So I think that's an important piece of this, you know, that it's a fantastic idea to live stream, but then if the platform you're pushing it out to breaks down in some way and people can't watch it, then, you know, defeating the object.
Yeah, exactly. Also, one thing to add to that, for those that are nonprofit races, YouTube is a great place to go to stream your race, and you can gather donations through the YouTube channel. And if you're a not-for-profit, then they will not take any money out of that, and all that money goes right into your bank account as a nonprofit, and that you can distribute into your charity cases. That's something that we've done with a lot of races like Western States. We've done it with them, and it is a lot of money that goes to those charity cases. Cocodona has done the same thing. Black Canyon has done it. Not props, that's a great option for you.
Yeah, we did it through YouTube as well.
Yeah, so yeah, fantastic. Okay. Sure.
And to add on to that, another great reason for YouTube that I will advocate for is that if you get subscribers, like Mountain Outpost, we are essentially a whole entity that we gather a lot of races under our umbrella. We're trying to become a trail running network, so to speak, with a lot of different shows and a lot of different things going on. But one of the benefits to us is we're getting close to 30,000 subscribers. So people who have subscribed to our channel automatically know when another race is being broadcast. And so they go on, they get an update. Oh, hey, Mountain Outpost is broadcasting X race today. That's another huge benefit. So as years go by, maybe not in year 1 or maybe even year 2, but by year 3, 4, and 5, all the people that have subscribed to your channel will automatically get updates every single year. So you're growing your audience every year.
And that's a really good opportunity, especially for race directors that have a series of races. So then if you start live streaming those, then as you say, you get subscribers to your channel, and then they're getting automatically updates through YouTube.
And I guarantee you guys are going to feel like this is so easy that all of a sudden your race director reports show up on YouTube, your pre-race briefing shows up on your YouTube channel. You go in there, you set it, you broadcast it, you do it, and you save it, and then it'll be there for anyone to watch whenever they want to, whenever they're ready, whenever they have time. They can watch your pre-race briefing or a thank you. Like, YouTube's the way to do it.
Excellent. Okay, got a few more questions going here. So, could live streams help to grow participation in the sport for underrepresented groups in the sport? So we've had this as a kind of continuing theme through the conference so far. In terms of how we can, how as a sport we can make it more welcoming and attract a more diverse audience to the sport, or more diverse participation in the sport. So yeah, I don't know, Zach, if you have any, if you've had any experience on this aspect of things. So I think you can share any thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I know I'm long-winded most of the time, just like my race broadcast, but I'm going to try to keep it succinct for this. But yes, we try very hard to make sure that we have equal coverage to the men's and women's field. That's priority number 1 for us right now, having equal voices in the sport. But in order to grow the inclusivity of the sport and beyond gender. I think that's a very easy, low-hanging fruit that we can look at, right? Is gender, but let's look at underprivileged areas. Let's look at, you know, different underprivileged areas specifically. Like, we can tell their story. We all know that those stories exist in our races. Again, you broadcast it out on YouTube, you're putting it out there, you're already doing one step and just getting your voice out there. Just whether it be a small platform, it's still a platform to stand on, and you're able to share your stories. Now, the next level, and something that I love to focus on, and I've already said it, is finding stories to tell in your broadcast, whether you do it visually or whether you do it with a good commentator, a guest host, post-race interviews. Talk to the people and ask them about their stories. Learn about your participants. Where are they coming from? Who has a story worth telling? You can easily put a pre-race questionnaire out there, and then you can gather some information and say, hey, you know what? I would love to talk to you after your race or before your race. Can we do a quick interview post-race when you come across the finish line, or pre-race that we can record and then put it into the broadcast? Sorry, live stream. Yeah, there are definitely ways. The biggest way is telling their story. If they hear a story that strikes a chord similar to their life, they're more likely to be engaged and more likely to say, oh, I can do that too. Allie Vincent is a great example for those who know her. Huge weight loss story, quite literally and figuratively. I think she's over 100 pounds. And so she's made it approachable for people who are like, I'm obese, I'm overweight, I've never done this before. Myrna Valero. So many great stories out there that tell that specifically, that there are a lot of people who didn't think they belonged here until they heard a story similar to theirs. And what a beautiful sport we have when we have so many stories to tell, which means so many people can do this. Like, I say this all the time, running 100 miles is not that hard. Anyone can do it. You just got to believe you can do it. And I think Myrna and all of these other people are great examples. Callie are great examples of people who, if you would have told them 10 years ago that they were going to run a 100-miler, they'd be like, you're insane. Like, could never happen. And somebody inspired them to make that journey to the start line, and then that second journey to the finish line. And those are the stories we got to tell. We got to tell. The elites are awesome. They're cool. We love them, but we're kind of sick of just watching fast people be fast. Let's be honest. Let's tell the stories of the people who struggle to get to that finish line. I want to follow somebody from the start line all the way to the golden hour and see what their race has been like. Those are the stories that I'm interested in. And I can tell you that people love the action of the elites, but then they're left with more than half the race left of, okay, well, what are these other cool stories? What else are we watching? And why are we not telling them?
Yeah, we'll have a couple of two things. And Tom kind of mentioned it. We do the same thing. That gathering that information, whether you're doing it or yourself or you're feeding, like in our case to Zach, finding out the stories ahead of time through pre-race questionnaires, things like that, is a very critical component to learning more about who your runners are and what stories you can tell. Also, and we're fortunate in that we do a couple of events prior to the actual running of our event where we can broadcast, for example, our women's panel. And so rather than just having it just with the people who are on the ground, now that becomes a bigger a venue for a lot bigger participation by people and that kind of thing. So I think depending on your scheduling and that kind of stuff and what you've got available, it's also an opportunity to do some alternate programming, auxiliary programming for that.
Yeah, I mean, Zach nailed the whole thing. But I didn't really think about this before you said this, but yeah, your pre-race interviews, you could line that up 100% of getting that where, so if you have somebody mentioned early bid pickup early, or the pre-day of the race, you would have that interview and then go with interviewing them, canon, play it the next day to get exactly correct.
several people have said this already, but it's like everybody has a story to tell. And, you know, in a lot of cases, we have these amazing stories that stay silent, you know, because we don't give people voice to share it. And so I think this gives an opportunity, or this gives races an opportunity to open those voices, to allow people to share their story. So that's really exciting, because that's, you know, everybody has. Absolutely everybody. Okay. Are there other people, so considerations for hosting a streaming event yourself versus outsourcing to another group who specialize in live streams? So Zach, obviously you've got Mountain Outpost, so you're well known, but you know, I hate to ask about competition, but are there other groups out there that also can host it and kind of outsource live streaming for races?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we enjoyed the first mover opportunity for the last year or two. But again, because this is the Wild West, and this is kind of, I mean, what people don't realize is there's not a whole lot of money in live streaming. So I don't know how serious the competition is, but it is that there's definitely other opportunities out there. Again, this is so easy to do yourself that I highly recommend really looking into it and you know, trying to figure out if you can do it yourself. It's absolutely possible to do a very base level storytelling to see what happens at your race with it. And then, you know, one of the biggest benefits to outsourcing is the amount of investment and equipment that a company like Mountain Outpost has. We've got all the drones, we've got all the equipment, we can contract out the best videographers, the best drone pilots who've worked with us for a long time. So you are getting a more professional level. And as I mentioned earlier, with all the overlays and stuff that we put into it, outsourcing it is definitely going to upgrade your live stream. Just with the resources that specifically, I can't speak to everybody with, but what we have. And again, Jamil Corey, as he said, it's a gift that's been given to him. So he reinvests that gift back into the community. I can promise you he's invested a lot more than most would think into the equipment that we have just to pull this off alone, because we want to make sure it's top tier and it's great quality. So that is a huge benefit you get outsourcing versus doing it your own. Obviously, Mountain Outpost is kind of the largest and biggest one out there and most experienced, but there are other smaller entities that are trying to put this together as well. That I think in the next year, we're probably going to see 2 or 3 other smaller companies that do this.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Zach, for your honesty there. Okay, final question now. So, is there an opportunity? I mean, you kind of mentioned that about kind of making sure that you're giving equal time to men and to women in terms of finishers and coverage. I mean, is there an opportunity to kind of standardize live streams so that we can have you know, equal voices or equal time for men and women? But can we also include things like land acknowledgement in every live stream? So we pay respect and honor to the lands that we're able to run on. And then maybe share information on local indigenous tribes as well, so that we make sure that we're paying respect to the lands that we're
Yeah, so that's something we've done with Western states. It's been a very integral part to Western states, and so we make sure we include that into the run of show, which technical jargon for basically the list of how things are going to play out throughout the day. I like to have my run of show cut up into every 5 minutes so that I have some points that we need to hit and where runners are going to be. And so we're very dialed and know where we're going to be at. And a lot of our commentators play off that run of show. And Corinne Malcolm is fantastic. She will always bring a set of, you know, background data that's somewhere here in her head that it holds an encyclopedia of information for trail running. Leah Yingling is the same way. But it's something that, to be fair, we have not focused on including. And it's something that, as you bring it up, I feel that it is important that we need to start including moving forward. So maybe Javelina this weekend, we're probably going to have some land acknowledgement conversations. But it's absolutely something that can be included. The wonderful thing about creating a live stream, and one of my favorite things, is telling the stories. And that absolutely should be part of the story that's told, because you know, this land is something that we share, and it's something that we should be very cognizant of, you know, being great, showing some gratitude for those that came before us, for the land that we're utilizing. And I think that it's something that we can build into the run of show. So call out accepted. Thank you, Terry. I will make sure that it shows up in our broadcast from here on out.
Okay, thank you, Zach.
Well, I was just going to say, I think we're talking about is it possible to do it from a technological point of view? And I think Zach would agree and Tom would agree that it's pretty possible. So that opens the door for maybe some discussions that may or may not have already happened. You know, do we want to do this and opening that discussion as an event? So yeah, I hold out hope. The other thing is, it also can, again, to Zach and what Tom, you know, we've been talking about, is that can be, those kinds of issues and those kinds of statements or whatever can be part more of those canned things that you can drop in, you know. So it doesn't just have to be Dale Garland or Tom up here saying it. I mean, it could be somebody who may not even be there recording it and dropping it into the live stream.
Yeah, I mean, I hate the word standardized, because I want everybody's live feed to be different and unique, but it should be in there, absolutely. But standardized, I want everybody's to be a little different, a little more unique.
Yeah, if it's something that's important to the race, then it's something that you can include. Can it be done? Very easily. Is it something that we need to be more cognizant of and more intentional with? That part is also true.
Okay. James, you got a question?
You talk a lot about the overlays when you bring in leaderboard and things like that.
Yeah.
You guys talk about the experience actually marking the video. So if I'm looking back at a time, I can like go based on a div, find that point in the video that you guys click that.
Zach, did you hear the question?
I could not hear it super well.
Okay. So I'll do my best, James, too. So he's thinking about if somebody's following the race, and are they able to like track a bid? So if you put in.
So yeah, it's basically you talk a lot about like overlays. And you get you got the overlays going with your OBS and all that, the overlay technology. Have you guys played around at all with actually marking the video based on the tag data, so that I can go at that point and see the tags that have gone through?
Ooh, that's a great question. So we have not marked the videos with that. I know that we could probably link it together. Now, we're very fortunate in that we have our own timing company, so we can interlock our systems to where whenever a runner crosses the finish line, it auto pops up onto our screen. We've been able to build out those widgets. But marking the video with that is that's a really good idea. Luckily, the workaround with that is, if you know when your runner finishes, we have our little timing stamp right here, and you can watch what time the race is, and then just go scroll back to like where the race finish is, and you can see them come through. But yeah, that involves a lot more work. And why can't we just be good enough to think of that and mark it in the bottom play?
James will be sending you an invoice.
Yeah.
Shalini, one quick question.
Sure. So have you thought about privacy and consent?
Oh, yeah.
With live streaming?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a really important thing for a couple of reasons. One is we, as part of our pre-race, fill out who you are, where you're from, tell us your story, that kind of stuff. We do I hereby give my consent to be videoed, photographed, that kind of thing. So that's part of our standard operating procedure. that being said, even people, I think, even people who say, yeah, I'm okay with it, you've got to kind of practice some grace, give people grace. So if they're in a bad place or having a bad time or throwing up or whatever, they may not want to be photographed. And so it's the legality of it, but then it's also just the good common sense.
I haven't had an adult. I had an issue with that with an adult. I have had an email come later saying, "Hey, my baby is on this complete remove this." That's the only time I've ever actually run into it. So of course, yeah, absolutely, whatever you need to do, I'll do. But that's the only time I've actually ever run into it. I'm not sure how that would work because they weren't the one that signed the waiver thing. So you can ask the recovering lawyer over there how that works.
Okay, folks. Oh, yeah, sorry, we've run out of time now, but yeah, I mean, maybe ask these guys independently. Yeah, okay. All right, thank you, folks. A round of applause for our panel here.
Thank you, everybody.